Hello and welcome to ACC 281 QuickBooks Computer Accounting. My name is Renee Richard and I'll be your instructor for the semester. Just call me Renee, I would appreciate that. I just want to go over a few things with you about this course. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the syllabus and all that stuff. You can read that yourself. However, there are some unusual things that I want to go over. So this is your home page. On your home page, there's my widget as normal. It gives my office hours and locations. I'm located at Northwest Campus. There's a link here to click to make appointments for office hours, and my office hours are listed here. I also have open office hours, which is up here, every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. You can just click on the link and log in. If you need more than a quick question answered, I would recommend making an appointment though. And then we'll talk about this other meeting here in a bit. There will be some announcements posted for each chapter, typically. If you go to the content area, I want to talk a little bit about what's in here. In the Start Here folder, you'll have the syllabus and the schedule of work. I would recommend printing this schedule of work. It's one page. Print it, keep an eye on it because things change. Due dates change. The day of the week things are due change. You need to pay attention to that. Other information in here, how to access a textbook and netiquette and resources and things like that. Let me talk just a little bit about how this course is organized. The first half of the course, up until March 11th, is the QuickBooks textbook. You'll be working out of the textbooks, following what the textbook tells you to do, printing or downloading what the textbook tells you to do, and completing your homework from that. This is where you get a general overview of the actual QuickBooks product. And there are you go into some detail in some of these areas. And if there's something you particularly need to know about the chapter that you're in for completing the case study later, I'll list it in the README first. But generally, you want to get a feel for QuickBooks and start feeling comfortable with it. On March 11th, we will have a required meeting to review, so I can give you an overview of the final case study. The final case study runs for the rest of the semester. And just to show you how important this is, and I want you to be sure to note this, if you look at your syllabus, let me get it open here, and you look at your grading, you'll see that the homework from the textbook is only worth 17% of your grade overall. The final case study is worth the rest of your grade for the entire semester. So we start the final case study on March 11th, and it opens with a required meeting. And I don't want to talk too much about the case study at this point because it's kind of irrelevant right now. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so that's the big thing I want you to get out of this is the course is split up into two areas, one for the textbook and one for the final case study. I do have discussions set up. There's the opening introduction discussion, which is extra credit. There's the QuickBooks textbook discussions, which are ungraded. You're not required to do anything, but if you have questions, that's the best way to get them answered. I actually subscribe, and I'll do that right now. I subscribe and I have an instant notification, and you should do the same for all the discussions. So I will answer you as quickly as possible with these questions. If you don't get an answer quick enough, shoot me an email. And then there's discussions for the final case study. These are worth points, and we'll talk about this later. But you will also, at that time, want to do the same thing and subscribe to those. We'll talk about that in the opening to the case study. Now let me just go back and talk about the textbook really quick. The textbook, if you've noticed, McGraw-Hill has changed the way they do things. There's no longer a McGraw-Hill widget on the home page where you can access your textbook. What I've done instead, in each chapter, I've put a link to the textbook, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But each chapter, there's a Read Me First folder that you'll want to read before you start anything. For instance, in this one, it tells you that the chapter 1, you use the test drive sample company, and it'll explain what that is. I've also put a narrated PowerPoint for each chapter in the folders. These are dry, to say the least. There's just a few of them, typically 6 to 8 slides, and they're narrated by the actual author for the textbook. And there's some information in there that it's nice to have all in one place, and you'll see what I mean if you take a look at it. And then there's the chapter 1 link. To do the homework for chapter 1, for instance, you need to actually go in, do the entire chapter 1 in the textbook, do the exercises at the end of the chapter, and then use those exercises at the end of the chapter to answer the questions for the homework assignment. So in other words, for every chapter, you have to actually work through the entire chapter, work through the exercises, and then you can answer the questions. Don't try to shortcut it and jump right to the exercises. It isn't going to work. Or in most cases, it won't work. For instance, if you think you already know QuickBooks and you're just going to go do the exercises, that's fine, but you're going to miss all the work that was done during the chapter, so your answers will not be correct. So just take the time, work through the chapter, work through the exercises, and then do your homework. To get to the textbook, I've put a link. Like this one is actually an assignment. And this assignment is for reading chapter 1. But what you can do is you launch the reading assignment, and it brings you into the textbook. So then you can go to any chapter that you want to go to. And if you look through the chapter, you work through everything in the chapter. It tells you how to do it. It typically gives you pictures. It walks you through the whole thing. And then at the end of the chapter, there are exercises. There's a check your progress, and then all of the exercises at the end of the chapter. So you can work through each chapter and then use that to fill out the homework answers. There's typically only a couple of homework problems that you have to answer. Okay, I think that should do it. That's all I really wanted to say. Other than I'm here for you. If you need anything, just reach out. Email me, send me, post in the discussion, and I will be happy to help you. Have a good semester, and we'll touch base as we go along, but we'll have a more deeper connection when we reach the case study.